Well, here we go. We're going to do it. The Humminbird Unlock the Lake. We unlock the lake for the third stop of the year for the Bassmaster Elite Series, the guaranteed rate Bassmaster Elite at Pickwick Lake. We had our second event at the other end of the river up in Knoxville. We're going almost all the way to the end. Welcome to the Bassmaster Studios, sponsored by Marathon. Tommy Sanders here with Ronnie Moore, and big expectations for this event, which kind of got dampened right when it was scheduled to start.
They did. I obviously had big expectations because Pickwick is my favorite lake, but it is one of the greatest lakes on the Tennessee River that doesn't get a bunch of publicity and love. Pickwick right there in Florence, Alabama, puts out largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass, and you can catch them and weigh them all in. But Tommy, there were a bunch of changes, which you said dampened the situation there at Pickwick. The lake was low, 6 feet below full pool. They normally keep it low because Pickwick and Kentucky Lake are kind of the basins that hold all those flood waters in the spring, and we got those right before the tournament. Wednesday, the final day of practice, huge tornadoes, thunderstorms came in and flooded the area, which made the dam, the tail race, the Wilson Dam, really become a factor with how much water they were pumping out of that system after the 2 days of postponement.
There's always a good bit of current there, even in slack times, but boy, it was just up about double what they would consider a big-time current on that one. Yet, the fishermen could not resist this area called the Horseshoe in the shadow of the Wilson Dam.
80 to 100,000 CFS is normally what they're pumping through there, but that, Tommy, all of those spillways open, 200,000+ amount of current coming through there, which makes a lot of these islands that normally are out of the water, they end up becoming flooded, a lot more current breaks, and those smallmouth have a lot of places to hide, and they grow them big. And our day 1 and 2 leader really did all of his work around that dam, catching almost nothing but smallmouth.
There he is. I don't know what it is. Probably a drum, it looks like. Oh, it's a big old brownie, boys. Yes, yes, bam. Yeah, 4 more like this, boys. 4 more like that. A little love for the cameraman.
Veteran Kobe Krieger, 25 pounds plus on day number 1, and incredibly, he was able to hang on to that lead through day number 2. Steve Kennedy, a good history here. He's been with the Elite Series the whole time. The last time we were here, made a top 10, and a lot of his work was done right here. A guy who doesn't mind fishing current at all. As a matter of fact, Ronnie Moore, he said this is the way he grew up fishing.
This is that South Georgia, Alabama region. A lot of those Coosa River, Tallapoosa River, they have those dam generation schedules, and obviously the current's going to flow out of there, and you got to learn how to do it. It's not something you can just go up there and it's easy to do. He was fishing in some crazy current at times. He also slid back a little bit on some of those rock walls, but Steve did it to perfection. Coming off a second place finish just farther up the Tennessee River, he did well here as well.
That's a fish. Oh, baby. The problem is there's rocks everywhere. Dude, I got him. After all of that, I got him. Oh my goodness, what a fish. I broke it off right there after all of that.
Ronnie, while this was going down, we were compelled to tell the audience this is not for everybody. Not everyone should try that. Steve Kennedy, though, has got the experience it takes to do that, although a bad outcome on that fish.
It definitely had a disclaimer, Tommy. Don't do this. The pros have done this, especially Kennedy, for a long time. Like we mentioned, his history in that South Georgia, Alabama region, knowing the current, knowing those rivers and how they flow, and the dangers of it, knowing how to prepare yourself for that. But he had a really rock-solid game plan, throwing a swim bait and also a very heavy spinner bait, and he really lived up in this region, but he made an adjustment after day 1, fishing shallow. He decided to come up here, and that was huge for Kennedy.
Ooh, that's a big one here. Wow. Wow. I'll be lucky to land this thing.
Well, again, a place he had confidence in, and on the final day, it really paid off. 20 and a half pounds, basically, Ronnie, his second biggest limit of that tournament for the 3-time Bassmaster Elite Series winner.
This might be the best area of the lake, the highest percentage of hooking up with a 4+ pounder, but the percentage of landing them is not good. With the current pulling against you, fighting the waves, and how those fish are fighting as well, it wasn't easy, and a lot of these guys lost key fish up there. Maybe the winning area had the most weight come from it, but these guys were splitting it up. Steve Kennedy, we already talked about Kobe Krieger, we saw the other anglers on the map, and then we also saw Mississippi's Brock Mosley, a guy who knows a lot about Pickwick, almost the most of anyone in the field.
Absolutely, and he didn't really cast his lot to this place, especially in the morning, until the final day. He wanted to wait till that current was just right, till a lot of the anglers were cleared out, only 10 on the final day, and he got some quick results up there.
Yeah, and if you notice, Mosley and Kennedy both had tougher day 3s up in that current with less anglers, less pressure. Mosley decided to zig and zag like he did, went up to the base of the dam. And Tommy, he's had terrible mornings, great afternoons, and that's how he really stayed in the game. So for him to move over early on day 4 and catch those 2 key fish early, that really gave him a shot to win this event.
Yeah, and this area right here, these bluffs across from McFarland Park, were a part of his game plan, very important part of his game plan, especially for that afternoon smallmouth bite that sustained him up until the final day.
We got to see those 2 fish early on day 4 come from him up in that current with a spinnerbait, but his main gig was throwing those swim baits along those rock walls, and you might wonder, that's a really weird structure to kind of pitch a bait at, but these fish in the current have to hide somehow. They're not going to just swim miles away to get away from the current. They're going to hide in the nooks and the crannies of the rocks that stick out, and he was able to pitch the swim bait by them, and they're opportunistic feeders, and he was able to capitalize.
You hit it good. I like that one. That was a good one. Stay hooked up. Stay hooked up. That's another big one. Just come in the boat. Get in the boat. That's the biggest one of the day right there. Give me some. Yeah. Same exact spot. Yes. Yeah. That's what we're looking for. Not a baby. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. We in contention now. Maybe. Possibly.
Well, a big day for Brock Mosley in that area right there, the famed Muscle Shoals, the horseshoe. That was one of the big components, one of the big players in this. Another favorite area that we went to and spent a lot of time down there. If you go south, downstream from McFarland Park, there are 2 major islands on your way to the Natchez Trace Parkway. The first one, 7 Mile Island, wasn't where some of the winning events, but the one down and smaller, Koger Island, was huge in this tournament.
That region of this fishery really plays in the springtime, and you see a lot. You see these 2 anglers, Bill Lowe and Corey Johnston, they factored on that final day. Obviously, Lowe in leading and Corey having a giant day 3. And you see where they're located. Lowe on Koger Island, Corey on a smaller island just up from it. But that's not where their fish catches came from on the final day. You see them on the north and south side of the river, on the docks for Corey, and on the steeper banks for Lowen. That's really where they had to adjust. We saw that current change at the dam on the final day, and it changed downriver as well.
Good one. Good one. Come here. Yeah. Woo! That's a big one. Ooh, I like it. I'll get you fired up on Championship Tuesday.
He was the momentum man going into the final day. Corey Johnston, a huge day, the second largest stringer of the tournament, also over 25 pounds. He had it going, but boy, he had to move to these boat docks before too much time had elapsed.
And you see that timestamp in the top left corner of the screen, and Corey said, I've got a magic dock where I can catch a bunch of fish. And you wonder what that is. Maybe 1, 2 fish off a dock is a productive dock. He caught a dozen fish or so, at least on live. And at that point in the morning, Hank Cherry had jumped out to a little bit of a lead from back in the pack. And then Corey went on his flurry, and we're like, wow, now it's the chase down Corey Johnston show. Is Bill Lowen going to be able to adjust? Because we've seen that on final days. A lot of the patterns for leaders often dry up with 4 days of changing water. And it did, but these guys both made adjustments. Corey was fishing across the river on an island, a big flat in the middle of the river, and this key adjustment got him with a shot to win this event.
Yeah, absolutely. You see it so many times. The eventual winners of tournaments go where they think the fish are headed for. This was certainly his judgment right here. Head to the bank, get to those boat docks, get a little deeper water underneath him. Same thing for Bill Lowen. He also, starting in the current breaks behind the island, adjacent to the grass flat, he saw him headed to the bank as well.
Yeah, and early in this event, you see such a solid 21-3, 23-13, and then 17-10 was his slow day. But 17-10 on his slow day gave him the lead. He got to jump into that lead. He maximized his Koger Island region, flipping isolated wood and any other objects that had water on them. But that final morning, no water on him. I mean, it had dropped a foot or two in his area, and he knew, hey, I've got to ditch it or I'm going to die here. And he made an adjustment from his buddy Matt Herron, and it paid off big time.
Oh, Nancy. Oh, baby, stay on. Please stay on. Oh, my gosh. Please stay on. Please. Come here. Come here. Come here. Yeah! Woo! Look at the size of that one! Oh, my gosh! Oh, my gosh! Kenny Brower sent me a message last night and told me to catch him a 7-pounder on a black and blue jig. Oh my gosh, look at the size of that thing. Woo! Oh my gosh. Holy moly. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I don't know, it's big. It is big. Folks at home, it's giant. Look at that. Oh my gosh.
How big did you think that was when you saw it, Ronnie?
8.5 pounder at least, maybe a 9 pounder. And as the day went on, we thought it was growing because it was such a crucial fish to him. He didn't really have another giant to go with it. That was the anchor fish. Hey, it was the Phoenix Boats Big Bass of the event, an 8.5 for Bill Lowen. Incredible. Well,
it was just an incredible comeback for him. He thought maybe the thing had slipped away from him like it has so many times before for 16 years on the Bassmaster Elite Series, but 8.5 did the trick right there. That was one of the most dramatic final days we've ever had.
It was such good viewing for the viewers at home on Bassmaster Live. Pickwick showed out that final day, so many different twists and turns. Brock Mosley up at the dam, Corey Johnston's giant flurry at his magic dock, Bill Lowen with that clutch kicker fish. It was a great event.
All of our anglers we just saw here were really worthy of winning this one, but I think the emotional favorite for most of the bass fishing audience was Bill Lowen, and hats off to Bill Lowen, our champion. And so that's our Humminbird Unlock the Lake.